What it do, what it don't, what it will, what it won't. It is another Friday. And although we took a few summer Fridays off because we too need a little bit of R&R, we are back with the Ball Hog Sports Talk. And we are excited to reconnect with the audience. We are excited to redeploy our resources and bring you sports, business, entertainment. We do it one way and one way only. It's rough, rugged, and raw. It is exactly where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We are at the intersection, and we do things the right way here. So if you've never been a part of the experience that is known as the Ball Hog Sports Talk, we are encouraging you to fasten your seatbelt. Pour yourself a nice tall cup of coffee and get ready for the show. With no further ado, boys and girls, cats and rats, dogs and frogs, anything and everything in between, get ready for the Ball Hog Sports Talk. It is another riveting show coming to you, so let's go.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke, because this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're going to give it to you rough, rugged, and raw, so come get you a spoonful, like some grits with butter and salt. You know how we do it in the South, y'all. Make sure you do not get caught in your feelings. Strap on your seatbelt and enjoy the ride. Come on, let's go.
Once again, it's on. I get the distinct pleasure to be in front of this microphone with this amazing co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, thou shall be intergalactically known and respected as. When you say it, sit up in your chair. Make sure that your chest is right, because it's got to be from the diaphragm. He is from the Middle Coast. The Big Flow Show is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, my brother?
Man, what's good? What's good?
You tell me, man. What's going on? I know we
got a big graduation weekend. You know, I got a great weekend. Father's Day. Mom's coming to town. Got an anniversary. It's 23 long, hard years married. And then 23.
23, man. It's your MJ year, man. Your MJ year for your marriage. Bless up, fam.
That's what we're going to call this, the GOAT year?
Yeah, it's the GOAT year, man.
We missed our chance to do it. LeBron wasn't around yet when he won a big deal yet. When what's LeBron's number right now? He finished 6? Oh no, he's 23.
23. Yeah, come on.
Oh yeah, it's double GOAT year. Did he switch numbers?
In Miami, he was 6.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I was like, wait, 6. Hold on a second. Yeah, this is double GOAT year. It's a double GOAT year. We're gonna make this the best year yet. We're gonna make this the best year yet. Double GOAT.
Blessings, man. Every minute of marriage is difficult. So God bless you for 23 years of enduring all the difficulties and building a phenomenal life together, man. What else is going on? So you say graduation.
Yeah, my son walked stage. You know,
off in college. We got a lot going on. We
graduated in March. Technically graduated in March, but you know, they couldn't do special ceremony for guys that graduate early like that. So he got to wait with the regular people and graduate and walk stage this week. You know, small inconvenience, but no, it's good because we just dropped him off at school a couple weeks ago. Dropped my daughter off a week before that. She's coming in for Father's Day. And then it'll be great. It'll be a good opportunity to kind of see the kids again one more time. And then my wife, I had to rip the Band-Aid off and deal with missing them one more time. So that's the only bad part. She's probably just getting used to it, and she's going to go again.
The name of this show is Let's Settle This. So you are going to be, for the first time, an empty nester. So let's settle this. When, not if, but when the day comes, and it's coming soon, where both kids are walking out to go catch a flight at, I ain't going to say your size, but you a defensive lineman size, are you going to shed tears? Are you going to punk out? Are you going to be Ralph Transvan? Mr. Sensitivity, what's going on, brother? Be honest with us now.
So I look at it differently. You know, I'm a classic overthinker for those of you who know me well. You know, we left. My wife was crying and she was upset. I'm so proud of what they've achieved and so happy about it that like I didn't feel sadness. I miss my baby girl. You know what I mean? Like it took a couple of weeks, or to kind of that to set in and start to really like miss just, those of you that have teenagers realize you get 2 or 3 moments a day if you're lucky. Hi, bye, hungry, what was for dinner? Can I? Right. And my kids only ask my wife for money, so I don't even get the can I's, right? So I don't when I left, I didn't have any sadness whatsoever.
proud.
I was so happy, so proud that we got to this dream and did whatever. Now my son walks across the stage or whatever the heck he's gonna do. Yeah, I think we walk stage. I know he graduated already, and like it's gonna be like a moment that's the end of a chapter. That might make me a little bit emotional, but fuck that. I'll probably be straight. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't like feeling sad, so I let myself lean into things that make me mad or excited. I like to lean into the other emotions that are there. But honestly, when I dropped my son off, I didn't feel one lick of sadness. I was mad at the time because they made us wait outside for like 2 hours for this meeting to end. But with my daughter, I was just overwhelmingly happy for her, man. I was excited,
Good for you. Anything you want to settle this morning? Because when I think of our title, and anyone who has been a part of this journey knows that we put a lot in our title. It always connects. So just bear with us. But when I think about this title, when I think of let's settle this, I think of getting a basketball. I'm tired of you talking. Check ball. When I think of let's settle this, it's like, yo, dude, been talking all year. I'm gonna meet you after school. Let's settle this. When I think of let's settle this, it's like, look, man, you remember we used to brush shoulders when it's time to do the dance off? We had a dance competition. Let's settle this.
Try to get that first lick in. Let the person get the first lick. Yeah.
But even the dance off, right? It's like, let's settle this. There comes a time where you got to settle some things. Is there anything before we get started you want to get off your chest? Let's settle this moment before we hop in.
I'm tired of you flossing your hairline. I'm tired of that. I've been feeling like it was passive aggressive the whole show, and I think we should have you wear a hat or cut your shit off. I don't know.
Yeah, I knew you were going to deliver. You outdid yourself. I didn't
just,
realize
you know what I'm saying? I think it's excessive. I know you, Mr. Excessive Celebration, but I think it's excessive, right? I see. It's just. Fair. I mean, you get old enough now. You know what I'm saying? You get old enough. You
get your damn hair off, man.
You get some of the hair off, man. Be like, look at everybody else.
My let's settle this moment is very similar to yours in the sense that, like, you talked about the pride that you have versus being sad that your kids were leaving and you would officially be an empty nester. First of all, congrats to you and your wife of now 23 years, celebrating your anniversary, to raise 2 bright, wonderful, beautiful children who are law-abiding, upstanding, amazing humans. Boom. And oh, by the way, they happen to be student athletes. So when we tell you that we know the intersection of sports, business, and entertainment, we've lived it personally as student athletes and being All-Americans, going on to play at Notre Dame. But now, at least one of us, just you in this case, has lived it in terms of raising not 1 but 2 student athletes. So salute to you, man. My moment came this week, bro. Since we've been gone, my son was selected as one of the top 100 for the Nike Junior EYBL camp, which is a very, very good distinction, top 100 in the country. And I got to be at Houston and watch them play all week. And first of all, let me just say there's some amazing 8th graders out there. Like 6'10", dribble the ball, shoot from wherever.
Well, that's a loose term. 8th graders. Well, I take it back. You said 8th grade. I said you can do it.
I will not say age. I say 8th grader. All right. So they were amazing. So hats off to all of the people that have worked with these young people to be that phenomenal. We get home. We got to fly to Philly just to get home for graduation. My son was not going to miss graduation. In between games, he wrote his speech because he's the president of his class. We get home.
Those Browns are well-rounded, boy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, that part, I ain't taking no ownership of that. I'll talk sports. I know what I've contributed. Yeah, so I will not be fraudulent and take any credit for that. we get home to Philly. We've got to drive from Philly. We get home around midnight. We got to drive from Philly back to Jersey. I told him to get some sleep in the back seat. The car, hour and a half drive. You got graduation tomorrow, champ. Just go ahead and get you some sleep. When I wake him up in front of the South Mountain YMCA. So he wakes up, kind of confused. You know where you at, champ? Like, yeah, the YMCA. And I say to him this. I say, this is where you first picked up a ball, champ. I just watched a journey where you started here and it was bad. Boy could barely dribble. It was ugly. And now this journey is taking you to Nike's top 100 in the entire country. I'm proud of you, man. And I had to do that
surreal.
because I saw so many dads at that camp, bro. Like, the kids could do no right because his dads were constantly trying to, yeah, man, do this, do that. And I had to just let him know, man, I'm proud of him. So let's settle this in the sense that as a sports dad, we go too far sometimes. We got to remember to just be proud. I didn't know that was going to be your response to whether or not you'd be sad when your kids left. Instead, you said, no, you're just proud. I got to live one of those proud moments and just tell my son, bro, to watch that journey. I was like, I'll weigh in later about what I thought you did right or wrong throughout the week. But in this moment,
well, I tell you, I'm proud of you because I feel like we've been doing the show for quite some time. But I remember many a day listening to you, on him about shooting and dribbling and this and that and the other. I had the famous video of having him dribble in the rain.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the different things like that. But what I say is, to all those sports parents out there and aspiring sports parents, don't let me act like I know everything, but I will say that, you got to give these kids occasional flowers. Like, you got to let them know because, when I coached, I've seen a lot of dads that were, did it right way. And some of them, I think, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, was doing things some of the wrong way, where it was always push and never celebrate. And I think of the Oscar De La Hoyas out there. People read that and say, oh, Oscar De La Hoya's dad never told him he was proud of him. But you know what? That gave him demons. You know what I mean? That gave him some demons. And we got to balance these kids out. When I coached, I said, look, I don't mind if you yell at a kid. I want you to cuss him. But I also will say this. If you're going to yell at him for what he did wrong, I want you to yell just as loud when he did something right. It's not about what you're supposed to do. There needs to be rewards. These are games and they're supposed to be fun. So I'm happy to see, the transformation that I've noticed with your son just from afar. But I'm just happy to let you sit there and reflect and have those moments because you know what? He's going to tell somebody that story that you just mentioned 10, 15 years from now. It probably touched him so great, like, dang, this is where it all started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got to give your kids those moments. You got to give them some chances to realize that, like, okay, I'm going to be on your ass tomorrow. Let's take a second back and let's celebrate this journey because it is a journey. It looks like it's all love from the outside. You know me, when I complain, what I always finish at the end, I say first world problems, right? So I understand this is a dream for many, but the emotions are no different than people who are, struggling to graduate high school and barely graduate.
Yeah.
When you get your kid graduate high school, barely graduate, you celebrate it because you know what that kid has been through. There's no difference from a standpoint of the satisfaction you get in achieving something that was what most people think is not a great achievement. If it's a great achievement for yours, it's an achievement. So it's all relative. So when you see your kids out there at the Nike, top 100, and he's doing all these different things, some people are like, okay, there's never anything negative about that. Like you said, some people, their kids can do no right. This is an achievement for whoever's there, right?
Yeah.
And you gotta let these kids do it. This is the bond you got to make with them, so that the sport that you push them so hard to do doesn't ruin your relationship. And I know a lot of people who I'm sure some of them I don't talk to anymore, whatever, their relationship is impacted and ruined by overemphasizing the importance of sports. So
it's a fight, man. When you think of let's settle this, it immediately takes your mind to some sort of confrontation. Mm-hmm. And as sports parents, a lot of times, whether it be the ride home right after the game or before the game or watching film, or in this case, in Houston, Texas, where Nike rolled out the red carpet. They rolled out the red carpet for these kids. I get off the plane with my 14-year-old son, and there is a person there with a sign, a limo driver waiting on us. And they did a phenomenal job. And yet, there were dads there that critiqued and criticized and complained the entire time because their son wasn't perfect. And so I say to those dads, may God bless you to have the same growth that I've had, but I also say to them, thank you, because it reminded me when I got back, and just take a moment. Just take a moment and let them know you're proud of them.
I'm clapping for you right now.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I'm clapping for you.
You know how I am, man.
I know how you are. So let's hop in, baby. Let's hop in, baby, because I got to hop in.
All right, so let's settle this too, man. I'll say this. While I was watching him, I'm dripping in sweat. I never believed that my mom used to always tell me this. Like, it's harder for me at one of these games than for you because I'm way more nervous. Bro, I was nervous as hell watching my son out there because I couldn't do nothing about it. Bro, it was the first time I'm dripping in sweat. I'm like, yo, it's settled. Everybody who told me this before, they were right. It's way more uncomfortable being on this side, being unable to do anything and watching your child in a setting like that than it was as an athlete. It blew my mind, bro. I'm like, why am I sweating like this? I'm not playing.
What do you think? I don't know. Your kids play both sports, or are they pretty much football, basketball?
Football, basketball, and track. A little bit of track.
Okay. I tell you what, out of every sport, my son played everything. Bella only played soccer, basketball, we don't even call it that, but soccer, basketball, and volleyball. But like Reg played everything, first kid, first boy, put him in everything.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing. There's a couple things that's nerve-wracking. I don't know what people could chime in who are listening. You have your kid out there wrestling, right? You got him damn near butt naked and making him go fight another kid that didn't do nothing wrong. That's a tough thing to watch because if he gets hemmed up, his whole look at you is like, why you make me do this?
Why you have me doing this?
You know what I'm saying?
I was going to go about my day.
You made me come fight this kid. I don't even know. So that's tough. In soccer, when your kid plays goalie, because like when you're a goalie, it's like only bad. Like if you save the ball, you should have saved it.
They only know your name and things go wrong.
But what drove me nuts, man, and I don't even like this sport that like that, is when my son was pitching. You don't want nobody smack his ball. The whole park is looking at him with the ball in his hand.
Yeah.
Is he going to throw a strike? Is he going to throw a ball?
Yeah.
Is somebody going to smack it? Is he going to go there? Man, he got control of it.
My son pitched one game and broke his foot like the next week. But that was I agree with you. That was nerve-wracking. Every pitch is centered on your child. But interesting times, man. I think that because I talked about the undue pressure as parents, as sports parents, we put on our kids. I think that the pressure is mounting even more now. Why? Because we have come to the realization that amateurism, as we know it, is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, we had another step, right? Another step. And let me just say this. Nike did a phenomenal job. I mentioned EYBL. So let's settle this in terms of Nike got that whole thing on the, like, they're the best shoe company when it comes to basketball in this country. But what they showed me was a glimpse into all the money that is now in sports. Flying that many 8th graders in, 100 8th graders, you fly in and put them in the University of Houston, their own dorm, pick them up in limousines, feed them all week. It's real money in it. This week, we had the house settlement. Referred to as a house settlement. Colloquially, it's a case that was started about 5 years ago. The lead plaintiff was an Arizona State swimmer by the name of Grant House. If you're somebody who hears house settlement and automatically thinks something like Congress, then you were wrong, and I was wrong too when I first heard it. House refers to the lead plaintiff, a guy named Grant House, who was an Arizona State swimmer. This house settlement has now made it okay for institutions to write on their own check from their own coffers, their own accounts, money that is to be issued to its student athletes. I know we've done a moment of silence for people that lost their lives. We've celebrated some moments, but can we just take a brief moment of silence for two ashy Negroes who played way back with the big old neck rolls? When we begged just for a free meal, we used to steal coupons. It used to be a thing just to get an extra pair of shoes. All you got was your issue shoes. You got an extra pair of shoes. You couldn't take a single dollar. So for all the old men in their late 40s and early 50s like us, that yes, we got a free education. And yes, they sold us on the idea that that free education, pound for pound, was worth what they were making off of it. They duped us. For all of those people, we're going to take a very brief moment of celebration, although we didn't get paid. Our sacrifice was not in vain. The House Settlement has now put us in a new frontier of what it means to be a college athlete. The House Settlement has now made it okay for us to call a spade in terms of how many conversations have we had about, wait, you want me to believe that the value of this education compares to the money that you made off my back? We finally can call a spade and say, bullshit. It was bullshit. It is bullshit. And because now the House Settlement allows institutions to pay its athletes, the bullshit is behind us.
Mm-hmm.
A moment of celebration. More specifically, the House Settlement. And they had to settle. It's an antitrust case, which means if it went to a jury and the jury found in favor of the athletes, the damages could have been tripled. So strategically, the settlement made more sense. All right. Substantively, here's what we have. $20.5 million is to be spent over the year for each one of the athletic departments. They've got a
Is to be or can be?
Can be. I don't think it has to be. Can be.
But I would say that it puts you at a strategic disadvantage when you're a school that decides not to.
Unless you're concentrating on a few sports with a few people, yes, you're at a strategic disadvantage from a recruiting standpoint if you aren't a part of the party. If you don't play a role in the party, ain't nobody coming to that party. Ain't no money.
If you ain't got a DJ,
right?
No
you
good.
Sit over there, no DJ.
Liquor.
You know what I mean? You tell
to have no liquor at the party.
I ain't going to that party when they got open bar over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the top club in Vegas. I'm not coming to your party. The other part of the settlement, so that is for current players. The other part of the settlement is essentially $2.7 billion with a B, paid over the next decade to thousands of former players. Now, because of the antitrust case, what that means is people like you and I that got them pains from 1984 still in our leg, we don't get paid because of the statute of limitations. So it dates back to 2016. That allows the 10-year statute of limitations not to have expired if you played as late of 2016. The first hurdle to enforcing the settlement has already presented itself because a group of female student athletes, have already appealed and said that the settlement itself violates Title IX, and mostly because of the $2.7 billion to be paid over the next decade. 90% of that $2.7 billion has been deemed to or has been already earmarked for football and basketball. That's where the subsequent appeal for Title IX violations is stemming from. Make sense?
So is that holding everything? So it's already got held up already.
It's been a long time in the making. I think this appeal will be quick. I think because at this point,
they already made a decision, and they predicted it.
It was Judge Claudia Wilkin, who I think has done more for sports than a lot of the top coaches. All right, she has been a trailblazer in what this new frontier looks like. Look her up, but she's got a bunch of accolades that when 10 years from now, we're going to be celebrating her role and what it means for student athletes. But that's where we are, man. And I think that when I hear House Settlement, right, when I think of where this all played out, and I reflect upon the decades of circular conversation about your education, the value of it means that you already being paid versus what the universities were making. I have no choice but to celebrate this settlement.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what's going to come of it. There was some other lawsuits that or I'm surprised that they waited to appeal the decision, because I thought that they went in the front end, because I know that there was a group of walk-ons that said that
that's what was holding it up, because of the roster limits. So the settlement was being held up by roster limits.
Well, above and beyond that, there was a group of walk-ons that said that they deserve some of this back pay too, which hard for me to argue, because there's a lot of walk-ons that play a lot more than scholarship guys. You know what I mean? So
right.
They're saying that they got omitted, so they only gave it to the scholarship people. So it's like they got slapped twice, right? Doing it. So I mean, it's a decent sum of money. My son, I won't throw his money out there, but he got a decent little piece of that's going to come out over the next 10 years, which I think is, I would say more than a shot in the arm is what I'd say. For a young person starting his life out, he get a little bread saved up and start working on his, he can either work on his retirement early, or he can, just have a little extra money, knock off some of these bills. Yeah. So I think it's a good situation. I think that the appeals are going to be difficult, because as long as they've been working on this, they're buttoned up, right? The arguments have been made each way. And it's unfortunate that women will probably not get much of it. Obviously, they're not. I think there's probably called a group of 100 women out there over the 16 to now, and I just pulled that number out anywhere, so don't challenge me too tough. That could probably come out there, and for things that come to mind, the Caitlin Clarks of the world. Now, even though she was getting paid, but the Caitlin Clarks of the world, I can't even go far. So I'm about to go back too far, but there's definitely some basketball women out there, some soccer women out there, Libby Dunns of the world that are bringing people to the some of these other Olympic athletes that got to play in college that have been filling stadiums that they actually charge for. I think that is they're going to get short end of the stick on that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I like the fact that the Title IX appeal has happened. And we're going to get into some viewership and value, and let's settle this what our role is. My man Jay Fry, what's up, Jimmy Friday? While in Houston at that Nike camp, my man Jimmy Friday not only came out to watch my son and introduce me to his sons, but also organized some other Notre Dame alum to come out and grab a bite while I was in Houston, man. Made me feel right at home. So shout out to Jay Fry, man, Friday the 13th. And let's settle this. Ain't no party like a Notre Dame party. We got the best alum, man. Straight up, man. You go to a city, and bro, it just felt really good, man. Really
I see.
good.
Shout out to Michelle Steele in the house. I'm not mistaken, you may or not have met my son yesterday, but we could put that on the side. But it's kind of interesting to see you in the crowd tonight.
Yeah, Michelle in the building. What's up, Sarah? And she's right. Enrique would have been one of those people.
Yeah. So there's 100 or so. I'm just throwing a number out, but what I'm saying, there's a tight few that are really getting screwed. And in every settlement, there's always going to be, in every agreement, there's going to be somebody who kind of doesn't get their piece. I don't know that they're going to hold up the entire process for those people. So it is what it is. I'm just happy to say that that these kids are starting to win. There's a lot of unintended consequences that are going to come from it. People are always going to point to the kids that blow their money. They're going to point to the kids that are financial ruins out of it, and I think that's legitimate. I think even worse than the NFL, NBA, and different professional sports leagues where people are broke 5 years after. I worry about some of these kids that are making money right now in school that don't make it to the NFL, and literally at 22 years old. It's one thing when you play in the NFL till 30 and you're away from campus and you kind of you're kind of pulling yourself together, you're growing up, having a family, hopefully acquiring some assets that you might be able to keep. That's even difficult to keep on top.
Yeah.
But some of these kids are getting this money at, I know kids getting paid in high school from their future college. They're already getting this bread. So before these kids even have a chance to vote, they already have an unrealistic idea of what money's about. And if the music stops, and think about how many kids don't make it in college the way that they're supposed to, and that music stops, you're done.
You add that to the growing number of mental health issues that we have on college campuses. You add that to the increased realization that the undue pressures that I alluded to when I was talking about the Nike camp, 8th graders, and how over time your identity becomes skewed such that you don't see any identity outside of being an athlete. You add that to the reality that you give a young person, the old saying that youth is wasted on the young is not something exclusive to non-financial issues. Youth is wasted on the young. So if I give a young person a large windfall of cash without the wherewithal to invest, protect, manage said funds, I think we're going down a really dangerous path. And I look, I got several suggestions of how we would solve it, but I think the institutions, the same ones that are going to give them the check, are going to need to play a role in getting them to understand, like, this check could be the beginning of opportunity for you in the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and it's 50-50 flip of a coin, or it could be the beginning of a very dangerous path down a road that leads to a lifelong, or at least 20 years worth of bad credit, mismanagement, regrets, and you don't want to dig a hole for yourself. So I think the institutions are going to play a role. That's for another show. I'm happy that the House Settlement is alive and well, and we're going to be talking about this moment in college sports for a long time. We talked about the big name, image, and likeness here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk for a very, very long time. So we're not new to the party in terms of the discussion. But as former athletes and as sports parents, for you on both sides, both the boy and a girl, the way this impacts sports going forward is going to be both a celebration of the new frontier, and let's settle this. Let's have a real conversation about how we've been duped and lied to for so long. Where was the money spent? All right, I get it. Like, there are statute of limitations, but think about all the people that don't fall within those statute of limitations, the two of us included, that were also taken full advantage of with the windfall of money that was bestowed upon institutions, especially if you look at the payout on the $2.7 billion, especially in that being allocated to basketball and football, especially in those two sports. There are a lot of people that got taken advantage of. And because of the opportunity to get an education, it was taboo to say that publicly. You taking advantage of me, dog. Mm-hmm. And yet, I think this is a moment where, as players, we can say, see, I wasn't crying wolf. See, I wasn't crazy. The truth be told, it was an unfair advantage that the institutions had. So we'll see what it is going forward, man. As someone, my son's, like I said, 8th grade. So we're at the beginning of it. And I'm looking forward
to it. By the time your son is in there, it's going to things are going to even out. It has changed 1,000% every single year that my son has been there, from the transfer portal, the roster. I mean, he's gone through a renaissance every 6 months. It's ridiculous. Unfortunately, none of them have helped him yet. One more change is hopefully coming that may help him, but I won't hold my breath. But I just think a lot of these things. We talked about this, and you kind of moved on, but just to bring it back with this money, the one thing I do want to see is I want to see all the structure, because as people who have seen things in the past, we know these kids are set up to enjoy a lot of crazy stuff, and a lot of people can exploit them. It doesn't have to be a failure. Like, you're not going to control the NIL deals that are going to come on the side. Those are going to still be the way they are. But the money coming from the schools, we have a chance to structure that. I would like to see a forced savings. I'd like to see some delayed money, 401k type stuff. Could you imagine if you're 18 years old for 4 years of college, you max out your 401k, and you don't touch that thing till you retire? The early head start. I don't know how you were when you got out of school. I didn't max out my 401k for quite some time, but like just that little piece there. If they have a forced thing it's an annuity that says, okay, we're going to structure these payments where such you're going to go and give you X percentage right now. We're going to hold on to a certain percentage of this, or it's going to be in some sort of a trust or some sort of a delayed thing where you're still earning interest on your money, or it's invested in the market, but you can't touch it till you're 25.
Right.
Like little landmark things like that. Because we remember, we're going from relatively recently. When my son was a freshman, he couldn't. There was no payments, so it's only been 2 years since you can pay it. So we can put the genie. The school genie has not really left the bottle yet. I think we can take some of those payments, and I think it'll help some of these schools too, from a structure standpoint of how they get the money out. Just like they gave them 10 years to pay the other money. I think that if they can get these people, invest the money for some of it, put it in there. I mean, think about some of these endowments. Some of the smartest people on earth are running these endowments and doing different things of that nature. I would like to see some of that money not touch their mitts day one. But
I've got a lot of great ideas that I have presented publicly to the schools. I think this settlement gives ideas like mine and others a lot more credibility and get some legs to run with. But the institutions, like you said, a lot of times featuring some of the best investment professionals known to mankind right there in the investment office, charged with protecting the endowment. They can be a part of what the solution should be to prevent what is not probable. It's imminent.
Inevitable. Yeah.
It's inevitable. It's absolute. There are going to be people that have already, I'm talking as though hypothetical, it's already happened in the 2 years of payment. If you look at some of the behaviors on campus, you look at some of the purchases by some of these young people, it's proof that youth is wasted on the young. And we need to do more to protect some of the mistakes that are inevitable. I'll give you last word on it, man. House settlement is there. Let's settle this, baby. This settlement proved us right. We got hoodwinked, bamboozled. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. I felt like all of those things were true, and I'm celebrating this house settlement. I'll give you last word on it before we move on.
I think it's gonna cause a very interesting situation for the universities. Some schools are giving some money to everybody. Some schools I've seen where proposal of freshman, sophomore year, people get a minimum wage, and then come junior, senior year, it's when they start to set up. So it's kind of a reason to hold people a little bit longer. And the junior, senior year, if you're not playing much, then it's like, hey, do you want to get your education in there? I wish that they would do something about education and tie it to this, meaning through all the shuffle, we've made so much headway on the graduation rates, and unbelievable amounts of headway on the graduation rates through the years. Bowl appearances, you had to have a certain graduation rate, even though I think people are juking the numbers a little bit, but work with me. They're working on getting things right. We are going at a free fall pace in the other direction based on some of these rules, and the transfer portal is killing the education. I'd like somebody to take a step back and say, hey, listen, through this payment plan and all the different things that's going on, whatever, we're going to go and say, if a kid gets in the portal and he doesn't land at home, that kid is offered to stay at the original school and get an education. Because right now, like Stanford had pushed a bunch of kids out when they got the new coaches, which for Stanford was very shocking. But what they did is they went to the guys and said, all right, you can leave or you can just retire from football and just get an education. That's an extreme choice for a lot of people where they may not want to do it. But when you get in that portal, and I'd say at least 50%, if not 70% of the portal people are directed at the portal, whether they come right out and ask you or they just treat you in such a way that you have to go to the portal. I think they say what, something like 40%, 60% of the people who hit the portal either never play again or have to move down a level, which is fine. But some people are not willing to do that. My son had to humble himself and move down a level in football. I think he found a great home, but he had to humble himself. Some people are like, well, it's not worth it anymore. And luckily we had a plan that he followed through and he graduated. But for some people, it's a situation where it's like, all right, well, I would just rather just be a student and I can't get out this portal. And I think having these colleges wash their hands. I mean, look at Colorado, how many academic lives that they've ruined through their tactics where, I don't care. I said it. Yeah, they ruined academic lives by throwing people in, bringing people in for a semester and they go, and the chances of them graduating while they still have eligibility goes down dramatically. I would just like to see there's something to be done, because it's no one's talking about it, right? Something to be done where kids can have a path to graduation if their sports thing doesn't work out. So
I would say this. I appreciate you putting it out there and saying, your son humbled himself, but technically he didn't, right? He could have stayed D1. Technically he didn't. He was smart in terms of he wanted an opportunity for productivity at his position, and that was the best situation, but he already graduated.
Right.
So you have been the cheat sheet for him and making sure that he understood what was most important, the currency of having, in your case, a phenomenal degree, being a Northwestern grad. There's got to be someone institutionally to be the cheat sheet for some of these student athletes that don't have a Notre Dame grad, Reggie Florima dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, same thing that I'm saying on the financial side is that the institutions have to play a role. I would say whether it be the institution or the NCAA, in order to really make a connection between their existence on campus and their propensity to get a degree, it's got to be something institutional. Because, again, youth is wasted on the young. Young people don't know that they're about to enter a world where that degree matters. Young people don't know that they're going to enter conversations that simply being able to say, I'm a Northwestern grad, catapults them in that circle, presents opportunities that but for being able to make that statement would not exist. Young people just don't know. It's because they've never stepped foot down the path of what's to come. So there has to be institutional influence on making that happen. And right now, I do agree with you in terms of the Wild Wild West and the institutions being able to slightly, in some cases, not even slightly push. They flat out shoving people into the transfer portal.
Oh, they're using words like cut. You're cut. Beat it. It happens.
And that's where I give at least Coach Bronson credit. He was the first person that took the lipstick off the pig and called it what it was.
The first person was the guy, the Michigan State coach. He was the first one who started that. What's his name? The black guy that got in trouble because the lady said he sexually harassed her.
Why can't I think of his name? Yeah, he had a
Mel Tucker. Mel Tucker, who's got the reputation. His nickname is Mel Fucker because everybody hated his guts. And I don't know if Mel Tucker is anywhere at this point.
I doubt it.
But he started it, and it worked. He came in there and made a 45-person roster change in 1 year, and they won a lot of games. They had a real good running back come in there, do a lot for them, but they had a 45-game winning chance, and we're off. That was the beginning of it. I hated it then. Again, I'm all about winning, doing whatever, but I just being through it myself, and I guess everyone's going to use their own experiences or whatever. But being through it myself, I definitely I'm sensitive to the other side of it because I've lived it. I just think that you gotta. It's not about being soft, and it's definitely some opportunity that's great. But when you think about the sacrifices that you've made when you get to a school with your health and your body and some of the emotional stress you put yourself forward and how minimal it is, Northwestern was considered the number one school expense-wise in the country, $86,000 or $93,000 or some dollars a year for tuition.
Man, you got it. You a big baller. You got it.
I got it, right. But does it cost them $86,000 to educate somebody? No. What is the additional line item for a student athlete? 20 grand, maybe? I mean, realistically, are they building a new chair in the room that he's sitting in? Like, how many rooms have you sat in where it was, full to the rim, maxed out? There's always an extra seat. They got to grade your paper. The teacher didn't get any more money for grading your paper. Like, they don't get paid by the student. Right. So there's not really that much of an expense. And you're still profitable for the money that they bring in. So take these kids. Some of them aren't going to drop out anyway. Like, there's kids that just college isn't for them, and some of them are just going to drop out. So I'm going to harp on this, and maybe I can speak it into existence. I want to see some more of these kids succeed. It doesn't have to lose if you don't win on the field or the court. It doesn't have to be the end.
Very fair. That's a great way to transition, man, because when we look at the allocation of the $2.7 billion to be paid over 10 years, 90% of it is to be paid to football and basketball athletes. Michelle still points out some of the names of people that didn't get to truly cash in on their promise. It's the Rocket, right? Like,
I don't really understand why. Michelle, I gotta say, great point, but I don't understand why you left off me and Bobby. I don't really understand why. What's this all about? You just go Rocket, JB. You just skip over what's in front of you.
I think she's saying because we got this platform. She knows towards big things. It's like it'd be unfair to put us in that category. Yeah, we got Ball Hawk Sports Talk. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But you had the bus, you had the Rocket, and you got the
list goes on and on.
Yeah, and Johnny Manziel, he is on and on and on. So it's going to be interesting. Although Johnny Manziel is going to get his, right? He
got his. He took his. He said, "Hey, hold on, man.
One way or another.
This is what this rule got to do with me."
Right. And hats off to the people that did. Remember how we used to think back in our day? We were so conditioned and programmed. We would think that why would you take the risk of taking money from somebody and lose the right to go out here and sacrifice everything while they take all the money? They had us programmed, Jack. Right? But truth be told, this settlement, I think, vindicates everyone who knew from the outset that we was really being fed some bullshit. We was a part of a big lie. And this House settlement, I think, has uncovered that. So I'm happy to see it. We got to get in the NBA Finals, man. We got to talk about it because the Indiana Pacers from Indianapolis, Indiana, from what I think, roster-wise, came out of nowhere. They've done some unthinkable things in these playoffs, and now they're doing the unthinkable in the sense that odds-wise, they had no chance going into this. They won the first game in OKC. They won game 3 at home. They're now up 2-1. And I think it's worth saying in this episode of Let's Settle This. Let's settle this. Y'all piss Halliburton off by calling him overrated. Let's settle this. We were wrong to think that they didn't have a chance in the Eastern Conference. Let's settle this. We are wrong to say that they don't have a chance in these finals. They play the game fast. They play defensively. Their stars know how to make everyone else better. And Halliburton's first really good game in this series was game 3, and he did so without getting to the free throw line. Does Indiana have a chance to do the unthinkable and unseat the team that everyone has already crowned as this year's champion?
Yeah, and I think Halliburton's obviously playing his part. Obi Toppin. What does he have? A 79-inch vertical jump? This dude blocking, do whatever. I think he looked really good out there. But honestly, this story is more about the disappearing act down the stretch from SGA. He played horribly. I mean, he played like if he ain't ready was a person. Like, he got some good shots because he's so talented, but there was a couple turnovers that he had late in the game that he was a part of when the meltdown started. One guy where he's looking at the guy and he just turns and runs, and the dude, they stole the ball, but I think the guy who's throwing the ball in couldn't believe that SGA just disappeared. He was going to throw the ball. The guy jumped up and got it. Now, I'm going to give Indiana this. Man, until the very last second, they played defense so scrappy.
Yeah, they did.
It reminded me of an AAU team when you play an AAU team and they smell blood in the water and they're pressing and they're killing you and they're just all over you. I was happy to see that from Indiana, and I don't want them to win. I want OKC to win. I'm still not a fan from back in our day of Indiana, Reggie Miller and all them like that. So I still kind of like, but man, do they deserve it right now? SGA just pissed down his leg. If you watch him miss shots and not hustle for rebounds and jog down the court, he just didn't want it. He didn't want it enough. He reminds me of Ant-Man in the playoffs to just disappear, just go for stretches. I wish he could go hide and sit down somewhere.
I would say this because in this episode of Let's Settle This of the Ball on Sports Talk, I would say you look at the rosters, right? And you got Halliburton and Siakam. From there, the starting five gets a little murky with Indiana. You compare that to OKC roster, it's star-studded. Young, but star-studded. You got the MVP. You got Chet. You got Jalen without the Y. You got Jalen with the Y. Both Jalen Williams. You got Alex Caruso. You got Lou Dort. You got these young up-and-coming stars with Alex Caruso supporting them from a backbone. Just on paper, it seems as though this should be a walk in the park. That's why Vegas and the odds suggested that this was going to be a walk in the park. But let's settle this. The truth of the matter is that you got to go out there and play between the lines. Crucial moments matter. And the will to win, no matter how much we want to solve for odds and predict who's going to win based on the stuff on paper that I just rattled off, the game got to be played. There are intangibles that happen at every moment of every game. And right now, and throughout these playoffs, these paces have shown that their intangibles and their resolve to win seems to be stronger than everybody else. Now, they're up 2-1. They could easily lose the series still. But for everybody in Indiana, take a bow. Pat yourselves on the back because no one gave you the second thought. We did not think that they could do this. And they're doing it, I think, handsomely in terms of shocking the world. If they could pull this off, this almost mitigates not mitigates, but it counterbalances, right? Whenever we talk about LeBron and his legacy of championships, we immediately go to when he beat Golden State, right? The 73-win Golden State. Well, this OKC team won, 68 games in the regular season? They're a juggernaut too. If Indiana, with Halliburton, Siakam, and the Pips, can win this championship, this might be one for the ages and the most unthinkable way for a team to overcome the odds.
Yeah, I mean, from a standpoint of watchability, I've been watching the. There's been so many storylines. Just again, this has been a great playoffs. You know, I hate to see LeBron at the house fishing so early. He's going to become a professional fisherman when retirement hits. He's going to be right on the on the bass tour, catching fish. But it's just so many good series, so many playoff heroes that we've seen come and go. So, Indiana, if they win it, they deserve to. They've fought their way through a lot of come from behind victories. Halliburton, the storyline of him being called the most overrated player in the NBA, to have all these buzzer beater second shots and coming through, whatever. I think the NBA is in great shape as far as the product that we're seeing on the court. I think this is, hey, you take the best teams and take to be the best, you got to beat the best. And now they're out there and they're beating them. Now, we tend to overreact because the beauty of series playoffs is OKC goes to bed, they eat a couple meals, they come back, and they do what they're supposed to do. Are they back in Indiana or are they back in OKC?
Back in Indiana. So if they win, they've effectively stolen home court.
They already have.
No, I mean, if OKC wins, right, they're back 2-2, and they've got more games at home. They've got home court advantage than Indiana, so they effectively have home court advantage at that point if you're tied 2-2 going back to OKC.
Yeah, so they go get this win, and we forget. I mean, that's the beauty of series basketball. Series sports is one game is that game they look like they were just figured OKC out and it's over. It looks like a wrap. It could turn around. I think OKC looked tired. I don't know what
first time because they've always been the young, jovial, energetic team. For the first time, they did look tired.
But just watching Indiana to the end, I thought there was a steal at the end of the game with like 10 seconds left that Halliburton made where he sprinted and took out. And I said, man, that's a message. We are still coming, dude. The game's over and we're still coming. I wish we had another quarter to play.
Right. I will say this. From a sports standpoint, I think that they're doing their thing. From an entertainment standpoint, been very entertaining basketball, all three games. But from a business standpoint, because this is a Ball Hog Sports Talk where sports business and entertainment collide, from a business standpoint, the viewership has been down significantly. If year over year, comparing apple to apple, game 3 of this series averaged 9.19 million viewers. That's down 20% from 11.43 million viewers last year. That is a considerable drop in viewership. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie all the time. What are these numbers saying to us? We've got 2 mid-market teams, and that's being nice to OKC. Truthfully, we should probably just call it a small market. Indianapolis is a sports town, but it's in the middle of Middle America. There is no coastal influence here, one way or the other. What is the business of this telling us as we see viewership down? I know technology, people are watching on different platforms, but not a 20% drop year over year.
It's tough. You've got SGA, who's probably the least popular MVP that we've had in years. Would you agree with that?
Least popular MVP that we've had in years. I would agree with that. How he built his career. Greek Freak was one of the ones I was going to argue with, but Greek Freak, just because of his athletic prowess and
his nickname.
He's a big-time dunker. He probably had more fanfare than SGA in his first MVP. I'll give you that.
I mean, that's okay. The Joker. Everybody knows who the Joker is, right? It's just a casual sports fan knows who the Joker is. And then you have the Greek Freak. So those are really big names. Even though the Greek Freak's playing in Milwaukee and he wants desperately out of there, I just think, it's what you say. He's a center that's dunking on people all the time. Joel Embiid, I still say is more popular. Much
more popular. Yeah.
Yeah, Joel Embiid, he was on top for a while. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't know who SGA was till this year. I really didn't. I kind of seen him, heard of him, whatever. It's not like whatever. But I didn't. When everyone kept talking about how great he was doing, I wasn't watching OKC. So you're a small market team, and you're a guard that is not. I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not. He hasn't been the like Durant or not Durant.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you have to
John Morant.
appreciate.
He's not like John Morant. He's
You got
not
to be a
like
purist in basketball to like SGA. He's
yeah
giving you the
mid range.
subtleties.
He's a mid range guy.
Mid range. He's the boxer that is not selling out pay-per-view fights.
Yeah,
because it's not. We don't love to watch it. He ain't knocking nobody out. He's a pugilist. He's taking his time methodically. Yep. You got to be a purist as a fan and really enjoy it.
To really enjoy and appreciate his game because he's not just coming down and John Morant or Ant-Man dunking on you everywhere, just pulling up crazy. He can shoot, but he's not that. And then you got Halliburton, who's considered the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers. It's not really going to do a lot of fanfare. Oklahoma City's smallest. Got to be the smallest market, unless Milwaukee is the smallest market in the NBA, right?
OKC is probably the smallest market in the NBA.
Isn't that what I just said?
Okay, my bad. I thought you said Indiana. Sorry.
No. I said OKC is probably the smallest market, unless Milwaukee's smaller, but Milwaukee is the Chicago. So you got small market, then you have Indiana, who really hasn't been good since Rick Schmitz, I think they said, was on the team last time.
Memphis Grizzlies is the smallest one, so that's small.
Okay, Memphis, yeah. But we're down at the bottom, so I wouldn't read too much into that. You know what I mean? Obviously, if the Knicks would have made this the championship, it would be unbelievable of who would be watching because you got old heads coming out, you got huge fans, you got huge market. Knicks Lakers, man, it would have. I shouldn't say that. That's disrespectful to the NBA right now. But Knicks Clippers, if they had made it to the finals, it would have been something. But none of the monster superstars from name recognition standpoint are in the game. Yeah. Whatever. So I wouldn't read into it. I bet you globally they're still doing well. I almost said we. I hate when people say that when they don't get a dime. I think globally they're still doing well. But you know what? I don't care. It's good basketball. I don't get any money either way, and it's been enjoyable as hell.
Indiana and OKC are in the bottom 10 in terms of size, market sizes, NBA teams. OKC is third from the bottom, and Indiana is seventh from the bottom. You're talking about two of the smallest market cities that have not advanced to the NBA Finals. And for the NBA, while we celebrated parity all throughout the year, while we talked about this being a celebration of, building a team organically and a franchise that is, representing an entire region. Truth be told, men lie, women lie, and numbers don't lie all the time. The viewership is telling us exactly what we were afraid of, is that people ain't watching this shit because they ain't got nothing to do with us. Now, Indiana can celebrate being an integral part of the collapse of the New York Knicks, and that's for a whole different conversation. They fired Tom Thibodeau, which I thought was extreme. And now they can't really even pinpoint who's the leader for the job. Who's the leading potential candidate? Indiana.
Who wants the job that's qualified? Who?
Tom Thibodeau.
He wanted a job.
I would take
the job, but I don't think I could win as many games as Tibbs. But I'm available if you guys are interested. But who the hell is going to take it? The NBA has got a problem. This is a whole show in itself. The NBA has got a crazy loyalty problem. I mean, how many people who have done amazing things? Monty Williams, Coach of the Year.
Monty Williams' son was at that Houston camp, so I got a chance to see him. But I immediately, when I see him, I'm thinking, damn, he was Coach of the Year 1 year and out of the league 2 years later.
Out of the league. Now he's at the house. Now he's at the camp. He's busy. He's not busy. He's at the camp. He doesn't have to do anything. And so Milwaukee firing their coach. I mean, it's unbelievable. But this New York Knicks thing is such a travesty. Like, they're irrelevant. They have been the most irrelevant team. The large franchise
of conference finals in 25 years.
Gone, gotta go, and played well. Just lost a team that may, in fact, be the champ. Only one team could win it. Should they fire all the rest of the coaches every year?
I don't know. I mean, I know that
Who do you
there
think
have
you
been
are?
some debates about Tom Thibodeau's style in terms of wearing players out, not going deep into his bench.
Yeah, just
Doggone
that stuff.
campaign didn't even play like in the Eastern Conference Final. So there have been those detractors that have analyzed his style as a coach, but nobody can say, right? You cannot dispute this. His style got them to the Eastern Conference Finals, which no other coach for the New York Knicks has done in 25 years. His
They're gonna
style,
suck, and then they're gonna talk about. They're gonna be trash next year. They're gonna lose a guy. Someone's gonna be out of there. They're gonna be trash.
yeah, I think they're going to be trash too. But the Indiana Pacers, they were the star of that movie. The movie's title is The Train Wreck in New York. The star of the movie is the Indiana Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
They're the reason that the Knicks have gone off the tracks. And so you got to celebrate what Indiana has done, but these viewership numbers say that maybe we're just not ready for a middle market, small market team to be the feature of global basketball. Fair?
We need to sneak one. I mean, Milwaukee won a couple years back. You got to sneak them in there, sprinkle a few of these small markets. But I mean, Denver's got to be a middle tier market. They can't be towards the top. I mean, really, the Texas teams never do anything. The LA teams never do anything recently. New York doesn't do anything. Chicago hasn't done anything. Miami has probably done the most.
Hey. Now you're going too
Done the
far.
most. I would say they've done the most.
Okay.
But still not whatever. So I mean, you got a lot of small market. That's the beauty of the league. Beauty of the league.
Denver's like right in the middle. They're at
Yeah.
18, Miami's at 17. So now they're basing this on, the value in terms of the metropolitan area, TVs and homes, yada, yada, yada. So there's a whole breakdown of how they are ranking these.
Mhm.
But damn, that's a real drop off. 20% year over year, game 3 versus game 3, 20% drop off. That's a big drop off, bro.
I bet game 4 is going to have a few more.
We'll see. I mean,
Is that
what
Father's Day?
Indiana has also done, and we can agree on this. Let's settle this. What Indiana has also done is they have awakened the betting market. We woke now, baby, because there's somebody could get paid. The odds were not in Vegas's favor that this was going to happen, and they're 2 games away from doing.
How does Vegas always find a way to win?
Yeah, that's a whole different show.
I mean, man.
Yeah, that's a whole different show. Let's talk about NHL Stanley Cup Finals, because last night, let's settle this. We saw one of the best games ever. Edmonton Oilers were down 3-0 on the brink of going down 3-1. We know what happens when any team in a 7-game series goes down 3-1. Doesn't matter if it's NBA or NHL. Edmonton Oilers did the unthinkable. They came back. They scored 3 unanswered. And then in the third, they scored a 4th. So they went up 4-3. It looked like the comeback and disappointment and heartbreaking loss for the Florida Panthers was all set. 19 seconds left, empty goal somehow, some way. 19.3, I think exact. The Florida Panthers score and take it to overtime. I'm not an NHL fan. I'll be the first to admit it. I will also admit, let's settle this. I might have it wrong. Watching them dudes skate up and down that doggone ice, it was riveting. Watching the comeback. Although I was cheering for my Florida Panthers because I'm from Florida. That's the only reason I'm saying my Florida Panthers, because Florida Panthers doesn't really have a very loyal fan base. I enjoyed it. The only thing I struggled was trying to follow that hockey puck.
It's tough.
It's tough. But I enjoyed it, man. I got to be honest, man. Let's settle it. Let's settle this that I was wrong. The NHL is a fast-paced, fun game.
It is.
The viewership is down in NHL Stanley Cup, domestically in America, up in Canada, pound for pound, down over the year from last year. Same two teams. It's a rematch. But it was an instant classic.
I mean,
Shout
it's a
out to
rematch from
NHL,
last year.
man. I'm sorry I missed out on y'all, right? Like, let's settle this. Is that we're coming to that part of the year as a sports fan where you got to choose between, because all the colleges stuff is up. NCAA track championship is on right now. Watch it. Good stuff. You've got to decide between Major League Baseball, the WNBA, and I don't even know what else. NASCAR?
And sleep. Sleep.
Bowling? What's the other option? Ain't a lot out there.
Sleep. I've been watching
I
softball.
apologize to all the hockey fans out there. I apologize for being asleep on the exciting nature of the game. I enjoyed watching that game last night. I will be watching Game 5. The series is now tied at 2-2. Edmonton did the unthinkable in the Instant Classic and came back. Florida did the unthinkable, the Panthers, and not giving up and scoring with 19.3 seconds left. The game ended on a great shot in overtime with Edmonton tying the series 2-2. For those of you who are from communities like mine, for those of you who have been steeped in sports like I have, football and basketball, and been asleep when it comes to sports like hockey, I challenge you. Watch a game. You'll enjoy it. I'll give you last word on it, man. NHL Stanley Cup. What do you see? What do you foresee before we go home on the last topic?
You know, last year was an interesting one. I think they were down 3-0, Oilers. Then they came back, tied it up, and then they lost in the last one. So my thing is not over till it's over. You know, you just saw that. I still want to know why there was an empty net if they were up 4-3, but it happens like that sometimes. I don't know.
Meaning their goalie left
why would the Houston? Why would the
Florida's goalie?
I was about to say the Houston Oilers. Why would the Edmonton Oilers leave the net?
Florida Panthers. I'm sorry, I might have said it wrong.
Oh, they had an empty net, but they still scored. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, they scored. Okay, it worked out. So, I don't know. You know, Florida Panthers are like a mile at the most from my parents' house. So it's kind of cool just to know there's something down there. Good for the economy. You know what I mean? Maybe keep their taxes down a little bit. So
you know what else was good for the economy? Taylor Swift and her boyfriend were at the game last night.
Oh, well, you know that. I'm surprised my wife don't know who won the game then because she's a Swiftie. So I don't know. I think it's good. You know, Donovan McNabb's got a nephew that plays for the Edmonton Oilers. I think the hockey's just from a cultural standpoint, they have a couple black players. Popeye Jones has a nephew that was, or his son was like the first pick in the draft or whatever. In some ways, I had to respect the fact that hockey doesn't give a shit and they do what they're going to do and they still fight. They don't care. It's like they don't read the room and they haven't succumbed to something. So there's a respect level I have for them. But from a marketing standpoint, I think they could promote let's face it, you know, there's a lot of African-American, or as I like to say, black viewers out there that you could tap into if you got yourself a Tiger Woods, if you got yourself a Coco Gauff, if you got yourself a Caitlin Clark, you know, when I say people that, or I should say Serena, not give it to Coco, but people who just kind of break the cultural barriers to do it. In some ways, I respect the fact that hockey said, fuck it. I'm not doing that. We playing hockey, we fighting, we doing whatever. But I do think there's a little bit of a missed opportunity by not promoting some of these stuff, some of these players, or promoting it and trying to find a way to stand these guys out, because I think we would watch if we found out it was a couple of brothers out there, but we always felt like hockey didn't want us.
Hey, Sal, I mean, Canada, no brothers on the wall, Sal.
Canada's got double the viewers. This fight almost 5 million for game one versus 2 million for 2.5, I think, for game one in the States. So we're down 30% in the United States, but they're up in Canada or whatever. So combined, they're doing fine. So this is something that obviously it's a Canadian sport, it's a Minnesota sport, it's Michigan or
Minnesota is in Canada, right?
I mean, basically, right? It's a suburb of Canada. But I just think they need to put a little bit more into some. I shouldn't say they, because they're happy with their brand, so if they're happy. If they like it, I love it. But I think they could do a little bit better. I got into hockey a little bit. I worked with a guy who was Canadian and was always giving me a hard time about, hockey, this hockey, that. Brought me to a game or two. And then the Blackhawks won like 3 Stanley Cups or something like that. And that was fun to watch. Going to a hockey game is nice. You know what I mean? The atmosphere is good. They've got some really, for the most unruly game on the ice where they fight, they're almost theater rules inside. Like, you can't walk in to a hockey game and sit in your seat unless the puck is stopped. They will hold you up. You are not standing in somebody's way. People only stand up at certain times or sit down. I was like, man, for a place where most of your athletes are missing teeth and can fight, you guys are the most civilized, act like crowd ever. I suggest everybody who's got a hockey team in their area, check it out. Go out there and check out a game. You'll appreciate it.
I'm sold. Look, when it comes to sports, great sport. Can't argue. There's a theory out there this week that hockey players are more athletic than basketball players, professional basketball players. Great sport. Entertainment. Watching last night, check. Entertaining. But business-wise, down 30% domestically from a viewership standpoint. And business-wise, watching the game, they barely even showed Taylor Swift. Did you see what they did at the Super Bowl?
The nerve of that.
Y'all should have led with that.
Because hockey don't care.
The game should have been called the Taylor Swift game.
Hockey
lead with that. People will tune in. From a business standpoint, it's easy to sell those ads at a premium when they know the eyeball's going to be locked in. Because it's the Taylor Swift Game 4. That's what you should have done. Right. She was there with her boyfriend, whatever the guy's name is. I'm joking.
Football, little Hall of Fame football.
Truth be told, that's how powerful Taylor Swift is. Wouldn't even know buddy name. I don't care about your first ballot Hall of Fame and all the Super Bowls and conference championships that you've been in. You next to Taylor Swift. Church. That's business. Good stuff, though, man, in terms of watching the NHL. I really appreciated it. I really, really appreciated hockey last night. And it's moments like these on the calendar that force you to watch things that you would normally not watch, that you get exposed to something that I think they just got a new fan, bro.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch me some hockey from this point forward, man. Great game. Great game for instant classic. Edmonton Oilers tie it up. The series is at 2-2, and now we turn our attention back to basketball. But before we do, you ain't gonna believe this. I'm just gonna let y'all know, man. Being a Brown has some highs and lows. When anybody hears my name, Bobby Brown, they'll look at me and like, oh man, that's gotta be interesting. I'm like, I had some good years, I had some bad years. Just depends on what Bobby was going through at that time. But my namesake, my cousin Antonio Brown, is now wanted for attempted murder when it comes to the episode that was captured on camera. And there was a shot that was fired allegedly at a assailant who was trying to take jewelry from Antonio Brown. He's come out and said it was self-defense. The police department knows. They did give him a bond. He's out. But now being involved in a conversation that says just the headline, Antonio Brown wanted for attempted murder. Let's settle this, man. Like, you don't know if someone has CTE until there is some form of a examination of their brain after death. So we can't say with certainty that Antonio Brown has CTE. But the erratic behavior, the immediate fall from grace, the inability to read the room,
read the room, don't shoot anybody.
Right? But like, You can't fire a shot publicly with a big old group of people that all have cameras because you're Antonio Brown. The unwillingness to accept the responsibility that comes with being a name like Antonio Brown, which at this point probably is going to prevent him from being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, let's kill.
If you didn't
You talking about Hall of Fame? Man, he's going to jail. What are you talking about?
I don't think he's going to jail based on look, and I don't have enough details.
I just laughed at Hall of Famers what came out your mouth. But okay.
He's a Hall of Famer. Career-wise.
One of the best receivers ever played the game. But I'm just saying.
It just seems as though, bro, I look, I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, so I like seeing the Steelers struggle, any Steelers struggle. But there's limitations to the struggle I want to see them experience. And this brother, man, needs a hug. He needs a hug. He needs guidance. And truth be told, he might need some medical assistance to get him through whatever he's struggling with from a mental condition standpoint.
He at least needs church.
At least needs church. Attempted murder? Murder was the case?
I hadn't heard that because, I mean, they did try to jump him. He almost beat up his own security guard because he was trying to do that. So, interesting.
What's up? My girl Ciara's in the building. What's up? Good to see her. I got to see her at one of my football parents. I got to see her at the basketball tournament last week. Always good to see our kids thriving, bro. That's why we do this, man. Let's settle this.
Ciara's
in the building. I bet you won't sing it. This beat go. You don't know the words.
I gave you the important. That's my baby girl's middle name.
But she makes a good point talking about hockey. We appreciate you joining. And actually, respectfully, she's a Steelers fan. So her statement is even more poignant. Antonio Brown struggles with mental illness, I think, of some sort. Just like we talked about these college players needing someone institutionally to step in. I think it's time to step in. It's time to step in, NFL. It's time to step in, Players Association. It's time to step in, Pittsburgh Steelers. It's time to step in, Central Michigan. It's time to step in, somebody, because all of us were there and applauded the success. And we're all watching this train wreck happen up close and personal. I hope that brother gets what he needs. I hope he does not get convicted for attempted murder because that's real time.
That's not good.
But damn, man. Damn, that's all I got with that. I don't know. I'll give you final word on it because I don't know how to end that topic.
I didn't hear about that until you told me today. I didn't know that was on the table. I saw the video of the fight weeks ago, and I never heard.
In that video, you heard of what you thought was a shot.
Heard a pop. You did hear a pop.
Didn't see it.
I didn't think it was him, because he had so much time when the cameras were close, and he probably didn't know the cameras.
You was hoping. What the comedian said?
No, it just never crossed my mind because
not hiding in this trunk. You were just hoping. I hope Antonio Brown, dumbass, is not shooting into a crowd. You were thinking rationally,
unless he didn't have his heater on him.
Guess what was happening behaviorally for somebody who's irrational.
Well, when they were jumping him, and he got a little space, he didn't pull it out. So I didn't think it was him. Like at a time where I would have thought it had been justified, they're whooping him. The security guard pulls him out. He thinks the security guard is jumping him, so he kicks him in the stomach. I'm surprised if he had a reach, he didn't reach for it. You know what I'm saying? So, but you know what?
He did it in the right place, though. I think he was in Florida, so yeah.
You can share. Florida's legal to kill people.
Yeah. Gun laws, boss. Let's go home with these, man, as we get out of here for the week. It's been a phenomenal show. I talked about the Nike EYBL. I'm going to share this link, whether you like it or not. Let's settle this, because I hate it as a fundraiser, the double good popcorn. I feel like we running out of popcorn to eat, y'all. Let's settle this. Because my man Bobby Howard, who supported it and just sent some money instead of buying popcorn, said that the double good popcorn is double stale. He said it's trash. Do you like the popcorn? The actual popcorn?
That should be Garrett's, but y'all don't know about popcorn.
Oh, here you Chicagoans go. Here you go. Every time I start talking about popcorn, somebody from Chicago want to bring up, what's the name of it?
Garrett. You know. Don't act like you don't know.
I do know about that. It's good
Garrett's
popcorn. Flames.
Nuts on
good
Clark.
popcorn.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but good popcorn. Let's settle this. It's Father's Day. How many socks, drawers, ties can you get? Do we get played in the whole grand scheme of parental holidays? You got Mother's Day that sells out roses everywhere. You can't find a damn rose at a single florist. You can't find a reservation at a nice restaurant. The church house gonna be packed. People buy Mother's Day outfits. There are Mother's Day brunches, plural, all throughout any big city. The celebration goes on. Compare that or contrast it to Father's Day.
What's Father's Day? When is that celebrated?
It's this thing that's happening Sunday where you better be prepared to get a brand new pair of drawers. That's what Father's Day is. Or think of some MacGyver toolkit item, a paper clip and some duct tape. Why is Father's Day the redheaded stepchild compared to Mother's Day? Let's settle this. Why is that? Big Flow Show. Help us. That's all you got? Crickets?
Speechless. I ain't got nothing to say. There's nothing positive. Everybody who's going to agree with me already knows what I had to say. And all the critics out there, we're in a cancel culture. I'm just going to say the reason why Father's Day isn't there is because we're nowhere nearly as important as the mama.
That's messed up, man. I thought you were gonna give me something a little more positive than that, brother. So for all you fathers out there,
weekend coming, I got all kind of stuff to do. I don't need to smoke.
For all you fathers out there, let me say this to you: Happy Father's Day.
I like Mike. Mike's got a lot to say too. See, Mike's a man of many words.
Mike Jones, Mike who?
Mike Jones, the man of many words, just like me, and he knows how to shut. Yeah. What we gonna do? We shouldn't be.
I'm gonna make sure I leave you guys in the comments. I'm gonna make sure I leave you guys. How do you do the comment? Let's see if I can do a dismiss. I'm gonna leave a comment. Live chat. Let's do it.
Beautiful family, Mike Jones.
You say what?
I just see a picture of his kids. I like his icon. Beautiful family.
Mike Jones, good people. Went to Cleo together, an attorney brother out there on the West Coast now. I think I just did it. Let's see if I
That's why they're smiling so big. I hate you California smile people. Everything's smiling. Your weather's been nice since 2 years ago. Smiling. Come to Chicago all the damn get that smile off your face.
But Mike Jones is good people, man. And a father. Happy Father's Day to him and the whole crew. We call ourselves the Firm. 4 brothers that went to 4 different law schools, well, 3 different law schools. He crushed it. Still crushing it, man. Good people. So the last one is this, man. Balling on the Beaches this weekend. I'm normally there, but I'm not there this weekend. For all those who travel to Ball on the Beach, hopefully you arrive safely. When you get to my city, that's right, Fort Lauderdale is my city. Don't be down there doing no public urination. Don't be peeing on the streets. That's right. Don't be peeing on our streets. I don't know why.
Who do you roll with that you thought you need to announce that?
I don't know why that's the first thing that came to mind, but it did. Don't be peeing on our streets.
Tournaments, is that how AAU has become? That you had to make that public
unruly bunch. When you go down there, act like you got some sense, because we be locking folk up. The cops and the vigilantes. We put people in headlocks. Don't go down there tripping. And if you get in trouble, don't say my name, but have fun, man. And then we'll get Ball Hog Spotlight moment, man. Anything in sports, business, entertainment you want to go home with this week. Big Flow Show. Try to get that comment in there.
Yeah, I mean, based on our title, we're going to settle this. It looks like Doug Christie settled this. And he put out there and found out, that if what Doug Christie said is true, and for those of you who don't know.
Quick background. You got to give me the background.
Doug Christie was married for a number of years. One of his prior teammates seemed to be a very close friend. Chris Webber found out when his daughter was 20 years old he wasn't the pappy, and Chris Webber was the pappy. So I think Doug Christie doesn't look like he could fight. So he did what any self-respected American would do. He sued the shit out of everybody. He sued the mama.
Hold up, man. Hold up. On behalf of Team Light Skin, I'm throwing a flag as a violation. As a fellow light skinned brother, how you gonna say it looked like Doug Christie can't fight? Come on, man.
If you were outside and Doug Christie said something slick, would you hesitate?
I ain't hesitating. We going to that. I can take
soft,
that. I can take
right?
that little.
First of all, I haven't seen his daughter, but when you look at Chris Webber and you look at Christie,
how was there ever a question as to paternity? And for 22 years, like
20 years, he been wondering. But then he found diary stuff where his wife knew. Then there's stories saying that Chris Webber would come to the house. She called him Uncle Chris. He would cry when he had to leave, and he felt bad. But all I know is someone got to pay me. You know, the beauty of the story when you say the justice is the daughter seems to side with Doug. She still calls him dad. She's still on the podium with him after this is allegedly because Chris is denying it, but she's still on the podium, put her arm around him, said, "This will always be my father. We get your damn money." The mom tried to pay the daughter $15,000 to stay quiet. Now, when you talk about people that don't understand what's going on, read the room. You said earlier, read the room. $2.5 million she got sued for and had to pay. And you offered your daughter 15 G's to shut up? Like, cheap. But so I'm happy to say that the mother has been ruined. Not enough because I can't remember her name, but she's lost her shows and endorsements. She was on Basketball Wives.
She was a celebrity like that. That was new.
She was on Basketball Wives, and then she had a podcast, and she's lost it all. And I'm happy to see it. I hope she has to pay all her money because I tell you, I have 2 children. I mean, they look like me, so there's nothing you could tell. I wouldn't even do a paternity test, but nothing in the world would crush me more than if I found out that biologically these kids weren't mine. I would still love them the same because I love the people, but I would be so crushed. And to have a woman do that to this guy and they have Chris Webber coming to your house. Allegedly, except for unless he's lying about the court documents, I don't see how he's lying. If he's lying, he's going to get sued for so much money he'll never see the light of day. He won't even be able to afford McDonald's if he's lying because everything he said out there has me thinking Chris Webber is a mark, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I already have my feelings about Chris Webber with the Fab Five. Chris Webber
posted a video saying all lies, and then he tried to promote his book. It was a really bad video. It was one of the videos that you like, dog, you'd have been better off not posting it.
Yeah, but he tried to put the book and he's smiling about the stuff. He's saying it's all lies, but I feel like that's defamation in and of itself. Would you say? To say everything's a lie when it wasn't, I feel like he's going to open himself up. He's like, oh, lawyers are being deployed, doing this, whatever. There may be some details that aren't exactly correct, but at the end of the day, I don't care how much money you paid or whatever. If you had a baby with your friend's wife and you're still in the life and you come around, you're hanging around, you are one of the most despicable human beings known to man. Worse off than the woman, as far as I'm concerned, because as men, you got to be your brother's keeper. So, you know, I think they settled it to a certain extent. I feel bad for Christie, but I do think like the fact that he just didn't have to live the shame, he could go dig this money out and still maintain a relationship with the daughter, which was the only part of the story that I like to hear, that they still going to maintain a relationship. And unfortunately, she had to find out this, you know, her life is different. She's changed her name to kind of separate herself from the story and go have a new life. But it's tough. It's a tough situation. People, you know, from a brief moment of pleasure, the lifetime of pain that you could create is
I'm not certain it was a brief moment of pleasure. It sounds like, you know, allegedly it was ongoing. Very good ball hawk spotlight moment topic. And I'll just follow up with, let's settle this. I'm going to blows with somebody if I find out that there was that much backbiting. From a guy code standpoint, that is a violation to the 1,000,000th degree. I can't rock with it, man. I cannot rock with it. But let's also settle this. The true love of a parent when you have unconditional love for somebody is real. And so we'll come full circle because we talked about, as sports parents, I talked about the Nike Top 100. For all of you guys who've been out there, see my girl Sierra on here. Over the last several weeks, those who were in the know about my son and have congratulated me, I really congratulated him and us and the process. I really appreciate it, and it goes a long way. The epiphany moment that I had there at camp and seeing all the dads try to encourage perfection for their sons.
I like the way he puts that.
Encourage perfection. Right?
I like the way you just said that.
Right. But I'm looking at it, bro, and it was, and sorry to get super spiritual, but this is the way it resonates with me. It was God's way of showing me sometimes I can be an idiot as a dad because I don't just give them the grace to mess up and the space to make mistakes. And thankfully, I got the opportunity to realize and get off that plane, pull up at the Y, and have that proud dad moment with my son. And let's settle this. Although all the money is pouring into college sports with this name, image, and likeness, and we all think we've got the next great fill in the blank, hockey, basketball, football, whatever it is, there's nothing like unconditional love. And we have to make sure that we savor the moments to let our kids know that we love them. And so on this Friday, on the eve of a weekend where we gonna get another pair of draws, a tie,
oh yeah,
a hammer, what else do we get for Father's Day? Name some other a tie.
Request to pass the mustard. Hey Dad,
But, you know what I mean? Father's gonna spend Father's Day out there on the grill. You got to work on Father's Day. A mother.
Mother's Day is to be celebrated. Father's Day is to show how good of a father you can be.
So on this Friday, I take the opportunity to say I'm thankful for growth and maturation, and knowing that being a good father means to take a moment to appreciate the simple successes and all the ways in which our kids make us proud. Happy Father's Day to all of the real men out there who are playing father, being father, whether biologically or not, and stepping up and being a good male figure in some child's life. It's going to go a long way. So I hope that's a very sincere offering from the Ball Hall Sports Talk that you can take with you, and it'll be valuable in addition to your random pair of socks, draws. And
you can never have too many draws, though, if you really think about it.
Fair. Especially us men. Fair. With that, man, we're going to get out of here for the week. It has been a phenomenal show. Like we ask you every week, humbly, we ask you to like, comment, share, tag a friend, tag a foe, tag anyone you know, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. Salute. Thank you, Sierra. We are the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. It's a labor of love. All you got to do, it won't cost you anything to like, comment, and share. It won't cost you anything to tag a friend, tag a foe, and tag anyone that you know. It won't cost you anything to subscribe for now. But you be doing us a world of favor, and you be putting some good content in someone's hands. We love doing it. We'll be back next week. Thank you for being patient with us while we got some rest and recovery amongst ourselves. This has been the Ball Hawk Sports Talk with your boy, the Big Flow Show from the Middle Coast. He's out of here after delivering some riveting content. And I am your boy, B Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Version, a.k.a. Breezy, a.k.a. Councilman Brown, a.k.a. Coach Bobby, a.k.a. the sidekick to the man, the myth, the legend. We did this thing yet again. Let's settle this. We are the best podcast because we got sports, business, and entertainment. Meet us here next week. With no further ado, boys and girls, cats and rats, dogs and frogs, anything and everything in between. This has been the Let's Settle This episode of the Ball Hog Sports Talk. It's yours to keep and cherish. Share with somebody else. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Father's Day. We is out. Peace.